My wife, Eva, female 40, and I, male 39, are the textbook definitions of opposites attract. There are a lot of differences between her beliefs and lifestyle and mine, but I think we've been able to make it work. It mostly comes down to mutual respect and no resentment when it comes to agreeing to disagree. However, one of the things that has always bugged me about her lifestyle was that it made her a little gullible. I know, I shouldn't be super judgy, but she believes in all these things like astrology, crystals, auras, and whatnot. She even has her own shaman therapy, which is run by this guy called Tobias, male 30, and he's your typical annoying man bun dude. I know all of this makes me sound unsupportive, but bear in mind that I have never gotten in the way of Eva's interests or called them silly. But after everything that happened, I think I'm justified in ranting a little bit. The last couple of years for Eva were a little rough. There was a death in her family and she was laid off from her job. It was super supportive and we cut back financially and I picked up on the majority of the household chores to give her the time and space needed to heal. However, nothing ever seemed to pick up, and it became clear that she was in a depressive rut. According to Eva, her sessions with Tobias would be enough to help her recenter herself, but that never came around. However, she ended up going to a lot more of these sessions than before and began involving this guy in a lot more of her life. They would attend seminars together, go to movies, you name it. I've never been much of a jealous guy, but there was a question mark in my brain after Tobias got this close with Eva, especially because of his passive-aggressive attitude towards me. The thing is, both of us interacted with each other a lot as I went with my wife to a few of her hobbies as a way to support her. And even though I might have been really harsh on her lifestyle, it's not all black and white. I did enjoy some parts of her hobbies and bonded with her about it. But just because I didn't believe in everything my wife did, he thought that I was severely harming Eva's happiness. How do I know this? He cornered me at a party one time, a bit tipsy, and spilled all of this garbage at me. I told him Eva's a grown woman and she's chosen to be with me. I suggest you learn your boundaries before claiming I would ever make my wife's life tougher. However, I didn't put two and two together and realize that he was putting all of these thoughts into Eva's head too. That was exactly what was happening though, as she ended up having a massive breakdown one day at home and talked about how I was stifling her and blamed me for her depression. Exactly the same things Tobias had told me. I was done with this BS and told her that if she genuinely believed that was the reason for her depression, our relationship was beyond saving. When I said this, she opened up and told me that she felt guilty about something, and if our relationship was beyond saving, she wanted me to know about it too. She had been having an affair with Tobias for the past month. I don't know how to describe how I felt at that moment. Some part of me wasn't even surprised, but I sure was disappointed. It just felt like my wife, who I had loved, was so far away from me that I couldn't do anything about it. I wasn't angry, just empty. Since then, we've been embroiled in the chaos of being divorced. Eva moved out and began to live with Tobias, and I went no contact with her to save myself from the emotional toll it was taking on me. The majority of our friends and family were on my side, barring people who knew both Tobias and Eva, and some of her friends who were pro-free love. So I did have a lot of people who were helping me through everything. I was also going to a certified therapist who allowed me to learn how to process my emotions. Honestly, as bad as the divorce was, I wasn't getting a lot of pushback from Eva, and it looked like I would be able to start afresh after everything was over. But then she turned up at my doorstep one night, begging to stay the night and crying about how she had made a mistake. Against any better judgment, and maybe because I was shocked by the whole incident, I let her in and asked her if everything was okay. That's when she told me, "Babe, I'm so sorry for all the hurt I've caused you. I need you to know how badly I messed up and take me back." A little bitterly, I retorted, What about me stifling you? What about Tobias? That's when she told me that living with Tobias had made her realize that he's a quack. His other patients all just heard what they wanted to hear, and he packaged it up in fancy language. Apart from this discovery, all of the sparks between them fizzled out as soon as Tobias could have her, and he ended up becoming super toxic and controlling. I let her go on for a while, but honestly, I wasn't interested in hearing my soon-to-be ex-wife ranting about her problems with the guy she cheated on me with. I calmly told her that all of this didn't concern me and all I needed to know was the reason for her turning up at my doorstep. She said, I found out that Tobias has been spending a lot of time with another one of his patients, and it made me insecure. When I confronted him about it, he said that he didn't need me to breathe down his back all the time and told me to get lost. I burst out laughing and said, Karma's a bitch, isn't she? I'm sorry, Eva, but you're going to need to go someplace else tonight. I hoped that would be enough. But Eva continued to try and let me allow her to stay the night, and even strongly hinted at having sex with me. It was getting out of hand, so I ended up shutting the door in her face. That night, I felt like I was absolutely in the right by acting the way I did. But a lot of Eva's friends then began texting me and saying that I was a massive a-hole despite the history between us, since she was not able to find a place to stay, nor was she in good mental space. I should have been the bigger man and at least waited until the morning to kick her out. The second part does seem reasonable, so was I TA for what I did? Update 1. After the events of that night, I did feel a little guilty, so I ended up calling Eva on her cell to make sure everything was okay. She picked up and told me that she was staying at one of her friends' houses and that Tobias and her were through. Then she gave me a devious ultimatum. Either I go through with a no-fault divorce and end up paying her alimony, or she's going to tell everyone at court that I basically denied her access to a shared asset, our house, and paint me as a terrible person. I was shocked that she could be so cunning, and it seemed like she's planned it to the T as well. Her friends would back her up, and she said that she could easily show everyone footage from the night she went to our house. Our security cam streams to an app on our phone as part of this home security service, and Eva still had access to all of it. I really don't know what to do at this point. Eva is just being reckless after her breakup with Tobias, as everything was going completely fine before that. I guess the reality of the fact that she has no job and threw away a relationship with a good man is hitting her, and at the very least she needs the alimony to coast off of. I guess I'll need to speak to my divorce attorney before I make any decisions, but I told Eva that I'll have to think things through before I get to her. Update 2. So I spoke to my divorce lawyer and he said that everything my wife had said was an insane bluff. I mean, I had already been able to sufficiently prove that she was an adulterer, so there's no way she would be granted alimony, and her claiming that I was abusive and kicking her out of her own home wouldn't hold any water in court. With that weight off my shoulders, I ended up calling her back just to gloat, which I fully admit was a childish thing to do. She ended up shouting at me for being heartless and cut the call. I was fully expecting her friends to gang up on me just like they had before. But I got a shocking piece of news from another mutual friend of ours. The new person Tobias was fooling around with was Eva's best friend, Charlotte. Now, from what I knew of Eva's friends group and their dynamics, Charlotte was like the leader of the group, and whatever she says goes. So she ended up trashing Eva and claiming that she was an abusive partner to Tobias, and because of that, her friends were all dropping her one by one. Again, this is just some wonderful, wonderful karma in my opinion, and I think the friend Eva is staying with is the only one she has at this point. I hate to gloat, but this all seems to be going my way. The only thing I feel bad about is the fact that Tobias is going to get away with being a shitty person. Update 3. I did something that basically ended up helping Eva, but I think I made the right call. I called Charlotte and vouched for Eva, saying that Tobias was a terrible partner. Obviously, I would have no reason to vouch for my ex-wife unless it was true, and Charlotte seemed to believe me. To be honest, she was seeing some red flags in him already because of what I did. Eva got vindicated by the friends that stuck by her during the divorce, and she's calmed down with all the hurdles she was putting in the way of the divorce. Because of that, I'm proud to say I'm finally newly single. A lot of the hurt and pain I had over the divorce has gone away, and Tobias had his business ruined after Charlotte dumped him, so I think I'm the only person walking away from this whole mess better off than when I started. Good for me. NTA and your wife is a grade A a-hole. There's a special level of entitlement involved in casually cheating on your partner and then running back to him. Opinion 2. NTA, it's obvious that she showed up at the house in an attempt to woo you back after realizing Tobias wasn't all that. I don't think it was dangerous to leave her out at night, and she had more than enough options for spending the night somewhere. Her friends are just picking at straws to make you feel bad. Next story. I, 15, female, live with my mom, 36, female, and stepfather, 48, male, SF. My father died when I was a baby, and for most of my life, it has just been my mom and me. She met my now stepfather a couple of years ago, and they got married last summer. It has been a huge adjustment to have SF in our family, mostly because as compared to my mom, he is extremely strict. He convinced my mom that I'm spoiled and entitled and needed his harsher discipline, or else I'm never going to make anything of myself. When it was just my mom and me, our home seemed like a warm and loving place, but now it feels like a boot camp, which makes sense because SF is ex-military. However, it feels unfair because I am not a bad kid by any means. I've always gotten pretty much straight A's. I do my homework without having to be told and always did whatever chores my mom assigned. I don't talk back or curse, and at this point, I'm not interested in dating like a lot of my friends are. I don't drink or do drugs and always follow my curfew. However, SF decided that is not good enough. He demands perfection at school, like 100% on everything, or else I get grilled over why I made a mistake. He decided I was a bit chubby, so now I have to get up for 5 a.m. runs, boot camp, workouts, and have to have weekly weight checks. My mom participates in this too because she wanted to lose weight. One of the worst things was that he decided most of my clothes are inappropriate. I do not think they are. I don't wear anything revealing or skin tight, but I did favor bright colors. SF decided I was being attention-seeking with my clothes and took away all my bright-colored stuff and replaced it with drab, neutral colors. Again, my mom went along with this because he persuaded her that I just had no sense of what was appropriate from not growing up with a father. Anyway, to bring us to the current dilemma. Of course, St. Patrick's Day is this Friday, and everyone at school wears green or gets pinched. I'm not allowed to wear green anymore because of SF's rules. Some friends were talking about what they are going to wear, and I mentioned I can't participate this year. So one friend gave me a green t-shirt and suggested I wear it under my black sweater. I had the t-shirt in my backpack, but SF decided to search my backpack. He does random searches of all my stuff. I guess I was just hoping he wouldn't find the t-shirt. Of course, he was furious and grounded me for a month. I tried to explain that I just wanted to participate in the tradition and that I was going to be wearing it under my clothes. So, at most, a small sliver of green would show, but this didn't fly. My mom agreed with the grounding, and furthermore said she was incredibly disappointed in me because I have never broken rules and acted out before. I feel awful for disappointing her, but also really do feel like the rule is stupid and pointless. So AITA for planning to wear a green t-shirt for St. Patrick's Day when I'm not allowed to wear bright colors? NTA, do you have any other adults you can talk to about this? I believe your stepfather's behavior counts as a form of abuse. It's not just being strict, it's much more aggressive than that. Your mother is also failing you by blindly going along with this. She's reared you this far after all, but now she has to do what her husband says? Does he have other children? How exactly would he know how to raise a child than your mother that has been doing just fine for years? NTA for planning to wear green, but there is so much else wrong here. I don't even know where to start. Not with you, you're doing fine, but that controlling behavior from your stepfather is not normal by any stretch of the imagination. NTA, but what your stepfather is doing sounds like child abuse to me. It's extremely controlling and far beyond what's normal or acceptable. For you two to get along better, he has to change a lot. Next story. I, 19, female, recently took my girlfriend, 19, to my grandmother's 95th birthday party. Since there are a lot of birthdays, including my grandmother, mine, my dad's, two cousins and nephews, all around the same time every year, we do a big family celebration together. We meet at grandma's house and 5:30 a.m., then we do a big family breakfast with all the trimmings. Then we hang out for a bit, then it's lunch, cake, presents. Then we tell family stories. We're a big family. There's grandma, two uncles, 7 aunts, 11 cousins, 5 second cousins, 2 brother-in-laws, 3 sister-in-laws, 4 nephews, 1 niece, my parents, me, and my 5 older siblings. This year, I brought my girlfriend. We've been going out for around a year now. After the day was over, we were sitting around grandma's living room telling stories. We were talking about how my sisters and I used to bite the windowsill of our dad's car when we were little. When my sister said, "Yeah, I remember Dad getting really angry one time when I did it coming home from Mom's house." My older siblings have a different mom to me. When my girlfriend and I got home, she asked me why I lied to her. When I asked her what she was talking about, she said that it was wrong of me to call them my siblings because we didn't have the same mom. I said to her that they are my siblings and that she wasn't making sense. She started yelling at me, saying that if I was hiding that from her, then what else was I hiding, and that she wanted my phone. I started laughing at her, which probably wasn't the best thing to do, but I thought she was taking the piss. After I refused to give her my phone, she ran into our bedroom and ran back out in a few minutes, and she said she was going to go stay with her real family, and left. I texted our mutual friends, and they are all on the fence. When I spoke to my best friend, she said that my girlfriend's toxic and I need to get away from her. I've tried texting and calling my girlfriend, but I haven't gotten any response. But please, tell me, am I the a-hole? NTA, dump her now, especially with her real family, parting shot. You and your half-siblings are definitely siblings, even if you share just one parent. Out of curiosity, I wonder why you never told your girlfriend about who is who in your family. Even though you are NTA, you may want to ask yourself why you shared so little basic information about your family with your girlfriend. NTA, your girlfriend is toxic. You are used to referring to your half-siblings as your siblings, so you didn't hide anything from her, because that is your definition of a normal family. Your girlfriend needs to learn that the definition of normal depends on the person. I had a professor that loved to respond to the questions, "Is this normal?" with, "It depends on what your definition of normal is." I was in healthcare, so you learn very quickly that it isn't black and white. There's a ton of gray, and that is why normal values are given in ranges. I'm betting your girlfriend is assuming your dad cheated on your older sibling's mother with your mother. And since you are the child of a cheater, then you are going to cheat on her. People are ridiculous, yes. I know people who think like this. It's the dumbest thing ever. NTA, the fact that you describe your half-siblings as your siblings and sisters just speaks to the relationship you have with them. It's sweet, really. It's not like you were harboring some big secret from her. It's like you telling her your favorite color is blue when in fact, plot twist, it's aqua. And she flips her lid and asks to go through your phone, IMAO. She's either super insecure, there is something else triggering her, or she's not worth your time. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.